welcome to Blink Theory, the show that tells you if the alphabet theory from Blink-182 is actually real or just a bunch of malarkey made up by a bunch of idiot fans. Okay, enough with the Matt Pat impersonation. I just gotta be myself. And that's right, today we're diving in to a fan theory, a Blink-182 fan theory that claims that there is an alphabet scheme going on with their album titles. And today we're going to go through it album by album and decide if this is just a bunch of hooey or not. And whether it's real or fake is beside the point. This stuff is fun regardless. Hey ladies, how's it going? My name is Dan Frampton, and today is all about the ABCs. There are a couple ground rules when it comes to this theory. EPs don't count, but the first demo for some reason does. It includes studio albums, greatest hits albums, and a live record. So right away there's a big red flag because one of their albums is actually called 9. So that gives us a reference point to how many records come before 9. And it would be those records that would follow alphabet theory if alphabet theory was actually real. But as you'll find out in this video, this stuff is all over the place, and fans typically bend the rules to create their own narratives. This theory picked up a long time ago, but it was first documented on the internet on a guy's blog. His name was Gary Hampton. So it's just got to be made clear that I didn't notice this stuff, and it was brought to my attention in my comment section. So I did a little digging, I did a little poking, I did a little prodding, and this is what I found out. The alphabet theory starts with fly swatter. Now, you'll know fly swatter doesn't start with the letter A, but they're claiming that this big letter A on the cover is the A that starts the alphabet theory. But here's my issue with that. You might be able to see an A in there, but there's also another little a inside of the A. So is this A? I don't know. This is just an abstract piece of art. This isn't really an A, but I'm sure you could find an A if you're looking for it. And of course, for the purposes of today's video, I guess we'll look for it. So there's your A. So this next run of albums is where the alphabet theory really picks up steam, because the next record that they put out is Buddha. B is the letter that follows A. Then the record after that, Cheshire Cat. That's a C. So far we got A, B, C. And then what's their next record? You got it. Dude Ranch. Okay, now my mind is starting to go, yeah, okay, Blink-182, you're doing this on purpose. You got B, C, D. It's very sequential. What can you possibly do next? E, Enema of the State. So far, I'm on board, and I'm kind of believing what's in front of me. And maybe the first demo is a bit of a stretch that there's an A, but we will go with it for now. But it's on this next record that I start to scratch my head a little bit, because I was a big Blink-182 fan at this point, and the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, even though it was a pretty big release, wasn't seen as an official record. But for the alphabet theory, they need this to be an official record because of this F that appears on Travis's drum kit. Now that F represented his clothing brand that he started, Famous Stars and Stripes. So maybe Blink-182 is getting a little bit cheeky with how they're going about their alphabet theory here. Or this is the first example where it's not really a thing and people are stretching for it. Either way, this record is kind of like the gray area of the alphabet theory. But this record also makes it clear that the first letter of the album title isn't necessarily the letter that we're looking for. Because Fly Swatter, the A is just the album art, and the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, the F is kind of hidden. So now is this like an ARG? Are we finding clues and there's like a bigger picture here? But this is Blink-182. They're not really a cerebral, high art band. So I don't think that they're partaking in long-term storytelling. But their next official studio release, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. And so far we're not hearing any G's, we're not seeing any G's, until we examine this little jacket down here. There is a little letter G on the breast. So okay, I can kind of give you that. We're finding hidden letters. There's the first letter in some names. You know, that's all kind of making sense so far. I can kind of give you this fan theory. So far, I don't see a whole lot of tinfoil hat stuff. I don't see a lot of overstretching and reaching, but that's gonna end with this next record. To me, self-titled is when alphabet theory gets completely thrown out the window. This is the album art that fans are stretching their fucking faces off like they're a Stretch Armstrong toy in the 80s to make this thing make sense. And let me tell you what they're claiming, because we don't see an H on here anywhere, do we? No, of course we don't. But this big green line if connected with this pink line is a lowercase h. Yeah, that's exactly what they think. That's what they're saying. They're saying this abstract art is an H, which I'm sorry, it just isn't. And they're saying, no, it is actually connected, these two lines, by these splatter dots. And no, it's not connected. There's a big gap here, and there's also more splatter dots down here in the color of black. So none of that makes sense to me. And the fans that don't buy that theory think that in the logo itself, in the Blink-182 logo, that there's a hidden H behind this B. But it only looks like that. This logo is double printed, meaning it says Blink-182 over top of another Blink-182. So every letter and every number is actually doubled up. And that H that they're seeing is just a coincidence of where all those lines intersect with the two B's. So right here, I think alphabet theory is thrown out the window. This is where I think it was all a big coincidence and kind of a cosmic one, because we got literally B, C, D, E. That's a real good run. And then if you're including the A and F and G, then you're like, that's pretty sick, Blink-182. But this is where it becomes totally clear to me that fans just picked up on that cosmic coincidence and are making it bigger than it actually is. Because the next album, they're not a band anymore. These guys hate each other at this point, and the record label puts out this greatest hits compilation or whatever. Because the band really isn't on board at this point to be putting an I on this album cover, because I is the next sequential letter in the alphabet. So fans are saying, yeah, there's an I. Look at the word hits in there. But I'm not buying that. That's a big old nothing burger, you big goopy goobers. But fans are still making that I stretch, because what they're saying is Blink-182 were actually planning on putting out a greatest hits record, and they eventually did. But it was after this record, and this record is called Neighborhoods, and I'm not seeing a J on there unless you look really close. Down here, there's a little J graffitied on one of these walls. But there's also a 6 and D jam and the word Jack, and I think that all these letters and all these names represent people significant to the Blink-182 story. But the fact that that J is so clearly written in the middle on the letter B kinda gives credence to the alphabet theory being a thing, because their next record was the greatest hits record that they planned on putting out before the J album, and they called it Icon. And if that's correct, then I does fit in here. So, you know, because of this greatest hits record, that's what's making fans stretch and connect all these things together. And that's what's making them so positive that on self-titled that this is an H. But I'm telling you right now, that's not an H. I've seen letter H's before, and that is not one of them. But it is kind of wild that we got an I, just a little bit out of order, but you know, whatever. But the next record, it's gotta be clear that Alphabet Theory was just a fun little internet thing by a bunch of trolls, because it's called California. Now if they spelled California with a K, because K is the next letter that we're looking for here, then all is good. But people are not gonna take the K and Blink, because that doesn't make any sense. So it's here on California that I am totally out on this theory. I don't think that it's actually a thing. But here on the record 9 is where we're gonna see the biggest stretch of all. You don't see an L anywhere here, do you? No, of course you don't. But what you do see is a Blink-182 neon sign lit by these chords. And the fan theory says that these chords underneath here is where we see an upside down letter L. Alphabet Theory has lost its wheels and its steam long ago. But I will say that it's pretty cool that there's a B, C, D, E sequence at the beginning of their career when they actually were putting out good records. So as you can tell, I'm not 100% on board with this alphabet theory. I would still describe myself as a skeptic when it comes to this stuff, but that's not to say that I think that it's the dumbest thing in the world or that the people thinking about it are the stupidest people in the world, because that's not the case. It's just a fun little thing to think about, a fun little thing to talk about and make posts on r/Blink-182 about. But if I were Blink-182, I would just call the next record The Alphabet. But that would totally squash the theory, and I don't want the fans to stop having fun with this thing, even though I do think it is a bunch of hooey. Okay, and that's gonna be about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it around if you're super cool. And until my next upload, watch another upload.